Welcome. My name is Greg and my goal is to help you improve your bird identification skills. Today we're going to be comparing the common and widespread Ruby-crowned Kinglet with a similar looking bird in the West, Hutton's Vireo. Grab your favorite field guide and let's get started. We're going to start with Ruby-crowned Kinglet. What do we see? Start with size and shape. It's a small bird. How do we know? The head is large in comparison with the body. In fact, the body is only about 2 heads long. We also note the short neck. It looks like the head is stuck on the body with no neck. The bill is thin. Even the base of the bill is thinner than the width of the eye. The bill is also short. Compare the length of the bill from the tip to the base. Now flip it over from the base. If you do so, the bill will only reach the eye. That's very short. It has a short tail compared to the length of the body. The base of the tail fits into the body where we can see a dent in the feathers. These are the start of the under tail coverts. Tail coverts cover the base of the tail. The tail coverts are almost half the length of the tail in this species. Let's take a closer look at the wing. This bird has a fairly long primary projection. We'll be better able to see this when we do side-by-side comparisons later. For now, let's go over the parts of the wing. The primaries are the outer flight feathers. The greater primary coverts overlap and cover the base of the primaries. The secondaries are the inner flight feathers. The greater secondary coverts overlap and cover the base of the secondaries. The median coverts overlap the greater coverts. The tips of the greater and median coverts in this bird are white, forming the wing bars. On many birds, the inner 3 secondary feathers are of different lengths and appearance than the rest of the secondaries. These 3 feathers are called the tertials, tertial meaning 3. On this bird, the edges of the tertials are white. Both the primaries and secondaries are edged with yellow on Ruby-crowned Kinglet. That makes it a bit hard to see the difference on the folded wing. Notice though that the tips of the primaries are all dark and fairly sharp pointed. From the end of the secondaries, including the tertials, to the end of the primaries is what is called the primary extension, also called primary projection. The primaries on this bird stick out quite a ways from the secondaries. Not only that, the tips of the primaries extend more than halfway down the tail. These are fairly long wings. Now let's look at the coloration. This bird is olive green on the upper parts, slightly grayer on the head. The underparts are paler olive. This bird has a white eye ring, but it is broken on top. It is wider at the front and rear of the eye. We've discussed the white wing bars already. The upper wing bars are often narrower and less obvious than the lower wing bars. Body feathers from the shoulder can sometimes hide the bend of the wing and the upper wing bars. A key identification mark is the black bar on the secondaries below the white tips of the greater coverts. This dark bar is diagnostic for kinglets and separates them from any look-alike birds. If you look closely, you can see a few red feathers on the crown, indicating this is a male Ruby-crowned Kinglet. When agitated, they can raise these feathers, and the whole top of the head becomes a fiery, ragged crest. This next photo shows the diagnostic dark bar on the base of the secondaries. This helps us see a bit better the distinction between the primaries and the secondaries. And then we can see again the long primary projection. This view also helps us see the indent of the start of the undertail coverts a bit better. The next photo shows the pudgy, round shape of this bird. The dark secondary bar is obvious. Look at that tiny bill. And note that the feathers between the base of the bill and the eye ring are darker olive. These are the lores. This photo shows something else important too. Look at those black legs. They are so skinny. They look like toothpicks. They are so thin. And wait, the feet are yellow. All kinglets have at least the soles of their feet yellow, often all the toes. In this image, the wings are held out from the body. This is because Ruby-crowned Kinglets frequently flick their wings. We'll discuss this again later in the section on behavior. But first, let's look at Hutton's Vireo. As we first view this bird, we are struck with how much this Hutton's Vireo looks like Ruby-crowned Kinglet, olive green with eye-ring, wing bars, and yellow edging on the flight feathers. But remember, start with size and shape. When we do, we see some differences right away. The bill is much thicker than the kinglet, and it has a strong hook to the tip. The primary extension is quite short. The black tips of the primaries extend only about half a bill's length past the secondary stack, and the wingtips aren't anywhere near the midpoint of the tail as on the kinglet. These are short wings. And look at those short, thick blue-gray legs and feet. These are typical Vireo legs. Finally, there's no black bar at the base of the secondaries, are there? On this next photo, we get a good view of the thick blue-gray legs. We also have a better view of the bill. Can you see the little hook at the tip of the bill? This photo shows the hooked bill again. Notice the broken eye ring, but also the pale lores. The feathers between the eye and the base of the bill are white. Remember, the lores of Ruby-crowned Kinglet were olive, not pale. This bird is grayer on the head and almost white underneath. This variation is also seen in Ruby-crowned Kinglets. Both species have populations with some slight average color differences. However, new feathers tend to show brighter yellow-green tips that wear off to duller white and gray over the course of the year, and lighting can affect the appearance as well. Compare that with the next bird. This Hutton's vireo appears greener than the previous bird. Again, thick hooked bill, pale lores, blue-gray legs and feet, lack of a dark bar across the base of the secondaries. Here is the summary of identification features. Both birds are small and compact. They are olive above, paler below, with yellow edges on the wing and tail feathers. Both species also have wing bars and a broken eye ring. The important differences to note for identification purposes are bill shape, leg and feet size and color, and the black secondary bar below the greater coverts on the Ruby-crowned Kinglet. Other differences include eye ring shape, the pale lores on the Hutton's vireo, primary extension, and wing length. These marks may not be mentioned in the text of the field guides, but they are illustrated. Equally important as how a bird looks is how it behaves, how it sounds, and where it lives. Ruby-crowned Kinglets are hyperactive, always on the move. They twitch and flick their wings constantly. But notice the black bar is visible even so. The call of the Ruby-crowned Kinglet is a husky jidit. I remember the song as sounding like C-C-C, two-two-two, tiddy-dee, tiddy-dee, tiddy-dee. Ruby-crowned Kinglets breed in the boreal forests of Canada and extreme northern Midwest and Northeast, as well as in the mountains of the West. They winter, October to April, throughout lowlands of the United States in brushy habitats including residential landscaping, even picking spiders from windowsills. On the other hand, Hutton's vireos are rather sluggish. After they hop to a new branch, they stop and look around before moving on slowly. The song is a buzzy two-part zweep, repeated over and over. Calls include whining chatters. Hutton's vireos are year-round residents in evergreens mixed with oaks and madrone in the Pacific Northwest, live oak chaparral in California, and pine oak woods in the mountains of Arizona and to Texas. Did this help you? Look through these images again. Are you able to recognize them? What other look-alike species would you like to see me cover? Put your requests in the comments. Thank you for watching.